If you would have asked 20-year-old me if these trucks would be more sought after than muscle cars of the same generation in 2026, I'd tell you you're nuts. But then, if you ask me now, I'm like, yeah, of course they are. This is about as good as it gets. That is a regular cab, long box, Scottsdale, four-wheel drive truck. Now, if you ever went for a ride in your grandfather's muscle car, well, it was hot in the back seat, it was loud, it smelled like exhaust, we're getting faint. You know what I remember? I remember sitting in the back of this thing on a spare tire with my brother and sister while my little brother was up front with my mom and dad driving to the lake every day in the summer. This was the first truck that we bought when we immigrated to Canada. So when a friend of mine dropped it off and said, "Can you give me your opinion on this thing?" I said, "Absolutely, I cannot wait to drive this thing." Let's get into it, here we go. Now even the smell of these trucks takes you right back. The way the seat kind of leans a little bit to the left, you got your family beside you, nice simple steering wheel, simple gauges. This is just, it honestly, it says so much when the owner of this is close to retirement, is almost ready to, you know, enjoy some of that free time and extra cash, and could by all means go out and buy a brand new truck. All the fancy gizmos and electronics, you know what he said? I want to go back to that time when things were simple. Simple gauges, just a key that I have to turn, nothing to worry about, but it's definitely going to get me to where I need to go. So let's take this thing for a little rip, and I'm going to look this thing over and give him my opinion on it. Well, my opinion is that we should put a 5.9 Cummins in it. Here we go. That sounds wonderful. Those old diesels, they just clickety clack away. Okay, so in all honesty, this truck was on its way here with a 5.9 in the back. The 5.9 was completely shot. There was no cylinder head on it. The sleeves were rusty and everything was crap. No turbo, no cylinder head. I had to buy a whole bunch of parts. It was an industrial engine, so accessory drive on the side was missing. The oil pan was wrong. Everything was wrong, and I said I would do the 5.9 swap, or at least build it. Now, typically I don't do that, but if you guys have been following the channel, then you know that I've had a couple surgeries already, and I have one more to do. Now, while I had that surgery, that was on a broken leg, can't really walk through the shop that easy. It's very difficult to get around, but we rebuilt the engine for our Mercedes, and that worked out perfect. I could sit on my stool, I got all my parts and all my tools and everything. I can work for a few hours, drive the Gator back to the house, take a break, and it worked really, really well. So I have one more surgery to go. That broken leg was to straighten my leg. That was done on purpose by surgeons, and I am getting a new ankle put in. So I need to find some work again while I'm down with the ankle, and in that time we will be rebuilding a 5.9 Cummins and turning that from a 24 valve into a P pump, because the engine that he supplied me did come with a P pump and a timing cover. Problem is that the 12 valves are actually worth a lot more than the 24 valves. The VP pumps go in them, the computers go in them, and then you have a lot of 53 blocks. A lot of people don't really want that generation from 1990 2008 to 2002, but because we had the pump and the timing cover, I said, you know what, this is perfect for a 24 valve Cummins swap. You guys have seen me build my Silverado. That worked out really, really well. So this one's going to be a little simpler. Just one turbo, G56 6-speed transmission. Paint the frame a little bit. We're going to do the cross member. We're going to show you guys back to the basics, what it takes to do a nice little simple swap and build a very reliable, fuel efficient truck that is not going to break the bank. We are taking it right back to the early days in the channel. We were dropped off this gem of an engine that is missing some parts, some parts over here, the accessory drive, the bell housing, and this block is no good. And he wanted me to get the missing pieces. Ever read that book, The Missing Piece? Yeah, well, he looked a long time and he still didn't find his piece. So I recommended that we keep the best parts of this, which is the P7100, the timing cover, basically get rid of everything else and throw that on a nice 24 valve. So all we'd have to get is the injection lines, and that's about it. So we're not going to do anything crazy in this, no dual plenum intake, nothing fancy, but these engines as a whole are cheaper than these engines just because these injection pumps go. So they're hard to get and they're expensive. What we're going to do with this one is pull the head off, send that off to Scott. We'll clean up everything on the outside. We'll put the timing cover from that on there, send the pump out to Area Diesel. They're going to rebuild that for us, and we'll have a really, really nice 24 valve mechanical pump. We got this G56 6-speed that's going to go behind it. This is out of a 2012, so we'll make sure that the flywheel and everything fits on there. The bell housing came with that as well. So we got a nice setup on this. We can actually use this block to test fit everything. But first thing we're gonna do, pull this injection pump, pull this timing cover, and get this engine off this stand. Okay, so a couple things I noticed about this engine right away. The timing cover has never been off because all the oil was still on the bolts there. Return line was hacked off, but the mount for the back of the pump is missing. So that makes me think that they had this pump off, but I'm curious as to see, they also have one bolt missing out of the aneroid. So let's take this off and see what that looks like. So it still has the stock fuel plate in it. It's even all the way back. So that means this engine never worked a day in its life. But yeah, I don't think it's been opened up. I think it was just robbed for parts. Oil pan is front sump. We'll keep that just in case. We got a rear sump there. This oil pan is much bigger. If you look at the size of the 24 valve, that actually stops like right here. So more than likely we'll be using that one, but we can always use another one. So this engine is in great shape. It's actually really dry. Only a little bit of seepage on the oil pan there. Even the front cover's not terrible at all. Other than it being the typical southern crustiness, this was a good engine. It's just the rest of the truck rotted away as well, so it wasn't worth fixing. But it's crazy that you can vacuum off the rust, like an entire layer of rust. It's welcome to Ontario. From here, I'll take it outside, use a needle scaler, descaler, just to clean up the last little bit, knock off all the last of the loose stuff. It's kind of a pain job, but kind of necessary. Left the pump on with just the hose covered, that way everything stays nice and clean. And then we can take the pump off and the injectors off, and then we'll take the cover off, see what's underneath, and the oil pan. Honestly, it looks like a whole new engine just with a little bit of self-care. I'm really curious what's underneath this valve cover and underneath the oil pan. Let's yank those off. Hasn't been off for a while. Probably needs a valve set. Look at that. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Nice and clean, no oil buildup. Ah, that's a good day. Everything looks really clean underneath there. Nothing to suspect anything bad on the bottom, but we'll pull this injection pump off. We'll get the cylinder head off and send that over to Scott. And we're all set. Nice. Okay, so pull the head off because I don't know this engine, but these 24 valves are very prone to having the seats fall apart and crack between the valves. I was told this thing had 300,000 kilometers on it, which is kind of fresh. But if you look at cylinder walls, they're not great. They're glazed over, they're pretty shiny. So we're gonna pull the pistons out, run a hole through here, clean this deck off, put some new rings and bearings in it, so it's getting a complete overhaul. So we're off to the races. We'll throw that in the trunk, go see our friend Scott, and then we'll continue with this probably after I get my leg done, because I can do the rest kind of sitting down, and then we'll have the head back shortly after I'm able to get back in the shop again. All right, so we've got our rusty, crusty 5.9 tore down. We know exactly what we need. We're gonna rebuild this with obviously a new gasket kit because we can't reuse any of that. So good FP diesel rings, a new oil pump, new bearings, studs, and of course, start them off fresh with Shell Rotella. Now, we've had customers come through the shop with mechanical 5.9 diesels. We had one that came through with 1.7 million kilometers, which is just over 1 million miles. And it was in great shape, it's just the block cracked. And that's because he was using Shell Rotella right from the start. He swore by it, and I have as well for my 25 years of being a mechanic. So when we assemble the engine, we'll be pre-lubing everything with T6, and we'll be firing that engine up on Shell Rotella. Also going to send out this core to Area Diesel. They're gonna rebuild the injection pump for us. This one came off an engine, I have no history on it. We're gonna let the experts touch it. We're not gonna crank this thing right up. As you've seen, fuel prices, horsepower is heat, heat is energy, energy costs money at the pump. So what we want is a nice reliable engine. We're gonna make it efficient. We're gonna make it a little bit better than it was stock and make that a really, really fun truck. Basically, by the time we're done, we've got the apocalypse vehicle. You wouldn't even need a battery in this thing to get it running. You pop the clutch as it's rolling down a hill, or you get your buddies to push you. And this mechanical pump will fire that fuel into that engine, and you can drive to get away from all the craziness that's going on in the world right now. As we're doing that, we're also sending the head out to Scott to get machined. The 24 valves are notorious in this generation for having cracked valve seats, and that's because there are no seat inserts. They basically just machine it into the head, and that starts to crack. So right around this mileage of about 300,000 kilometers, about 200,000 miles, is when those seats start to crack. So what we do is we cut them out and we put hardened seats in there, and that stops the cracking. Generally, we get them before the cracks go too far outside the seats. Otherwise, we got to put bigger seats in there. But well worth doing, so we can get this 24 valve, the most efficient engine and a fun vehicle that we can make it. So while we ship these things away, I'm gonna keep going on some other stuff, and then as soon as that stuff is back, we'll see what we've got. Let's get into it.
We got this early 2000 Cummins 24 valve head in. We're just gonna go to have a quick look over it. We're gonna hot tank it, chemical strip it, and then Magnaflux it. After Magnaflux, we found that there was about 7 cracked exhaust seats. We will cut the cracks out and install hardened seats. And instead of just doing 7, we'll do all 12 exhaust.
Okay, so this is a 1984 Chevy Scottsdale with the 6.2 factory in it. This one is from Florida, so she's clean. It's supposed to have these little dings and dents in here just to prove that, you know, this thing was used. Not abused, it was used, and we're gonna keep using it. So the difference between like a truck like this is 4-wheel drive and a muscle car is a muscle car really, you can only do one thing. You can drive to where you gotta go. This, you can throw stuff in the back, you can put a camper in the back, you can tow a trailer, you can tow a dump trailer, you can tow a skid steer. It's 4-wheel drive, so you can go off-roading. You can put a camper in the back and go off-roading and get to where you gotta be. And that's why I think these are actually cooler than muscle cars. Now I have a 67 GTO, and honestly with my daughters, they understand it's a really special car to me, and the story behind that is great, but it's not their favorite car to drive. We're gonna give this one some good love. We're not gonna go all out and do the hold the boss thing, I don't think. What we're gonna do is pull the cab off. Pretty straightforward. We're gonna pull the brake master off. We're gonna drain the fluids. We're gonna disconnect the steering. We're gonna disconnect the batteries, e-brake cable, 4 cab mount bolts, 2 on the radiator. And that's about all it takes. Don't need to pull the bumper off, don't need to do a whole lot of anything else. Now, when we started the channel, I was always so leery about pulling cabs off because one broken bolt, one nut that's in a cage that's slipping or spinning because it doesn't want to come out. And that turns a 7-minute job into a 7-hour job. That's why we go down south. That's why we work really hard to get rust-free, clean vehicles, because it's not worth doing all this work to if the whole thing is falling apart, rusty, won't pass safety, all of that fun stuff. So let's get into it. We're stripped in the frame, so I have to get at that. I'm not doing this swap with the cab on it though. I cannot do it. So cab mount, heater hoses, throttle pedal, clutch pedal, brakes are disconnected, steering's disconnected. I hope it slides out. Should slide out. Wiring on the plug right there. Batteries, there's a ground out the back of the engine, got that. I gotta do the e-brake cable yet. And I think that's it. And we're good to lift up. See what this looks like underneath. Well, that was the most ignorant cab I've ever taken off. Oh well, let's yank that engine and pressure wash it off and see what we're working with. Here we go. All right, so we got the factory under oiling going on here that's protecting this frame. The frame looks excellent. The other thing that's excellent on these 6.2s is the hardest working part of this thing. Same with the 6.0s and the 6.4s is the starter. That starter is just, it's trying. It works hard. Look at that, heavy duty. You know, it's serious then. So this thing's gonna go into the scrap pile. I don't think there's anything good on this thing worth doing anything with. Transmission's not overdrive, it's got a bull low. We want to go a little faster. They're calling for biblical type rains, so I could pressure wash it and clean that up real nice, or I could just go inside and have a bite to eat and see if it gets taken care of for me. Well, it's dark. It rained a lot, but it's still not clean enough, so guess I'll do it myself. All right, so we're gonna put the cab back on it again. Kind of washed it off, and looks really good. Really good place to start from. Now, the reason I pulled the cab is to figure out what we need to do. So cross members in the way of the oil pan, so I got to figure that out. Clutch pedal on this is mechanical, so we need to move that clutch pedal over to a hydraulic setup. It already has hydro boost on it, so that's great, but the heater controls are all with vacuum. So we need to have a vacuum pump on our Cummins. Can get rid of the fuel filter. Because we're going 24 valve P pump, there's no spot on the block for a mechanical lift pump, so we're gonna have to get a fast for this. And then now we can let him know what we think of the frame. Now he was thinking about maybe boxing it in. I don't know if that's necessary or not, but the leaf springs are definitely about as flat as they can be. They're actually they can't be any more flat. We might have to put bag suspension in there to help them. Put bigger leaf springs in, or new leaf springs, so we got to put that on the budget. So the point of pulling the cab off is kind of get a scope of the project, see where we're at. It was just safetied, so it's got all new brakes. So we got new brake lines, we got new calipers, we probably have new rotors, we got new e-brake cable at the back, so the brakes at the back were done. The tires are brand new, so it was road worthy. Even though it was the bare minimum. The wiring is pretty crappy, so we got to get into the wiring a little bit. Luckily, the wiring on these are very simple. You can see the wiring just kind of hanging down there. Everything's just kind of, bleh. We don't like that. So it sucks when you got a really nice project. Doesn't want to work because the wiring sucks. So we're gonna put the cab back on it again, and then we're going to get into this 5.9. Here we go.
Well, as you can see here, I have a painted pump. This isn't what you think. Looked at the other parts, went over it with Tyler and Kurt, said, hey, this is what, this is what I found. This is the condition of the pump. What do you want to do? Our options would have been to clean that pump up, replace everything that was wrong with it, quite a few parts. Or we had this pump on the shelf that is extremely close to the one that we tore down. So his pump was a 0402 736 838, and this is an 841. Still a 5.9 pump, has the right housing, has the same barrel and plungers and the same delivery valves as the 838. The governor side of it doesn't really matter, and the fuel side of it doesn't really matter because I'm going to change that anyway. Cost effectiveness and timeline effectiveness, we just determined, okay, we have this pump on the shelf, it's been there for however long, we'll just use it, change a few parts. All I have to do is just change the springs and the governor weights and then rerun it. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going to replace these springs and put high-speed springs in here. This is the idle spring, and we're going to reuse it. So, all these sit together like this. This first spring here is a lot softer, and that's for idle. And then once it gets past that, then it hits these other two springs. Where my high-speed springs, we're reusing this, but then we're changing these two springs, which that one there is actually like almost identical, but the inner spring is a lot heavier, and then it has another inner spring. Drop my little spring in first, then this spring, then my heavy spring, then my idle spring. Take the rack cap off and put my test adapter on, and there was tight.
Balance hasn't been too bad.
All right. Nothing screams confidence like a rebuilt P pump for a 5.9 Cummins. And Area Diesel did a beautiful job. But the Cummins beige, I've never painted any of my swaps in the Cummins beige. If you guys remember, the Silverado 24 valve was black and white. Tahoe and my previous Silverado was bright red. And I like that, but I don't think either one of those really works in that old school truck. When you see the Cummins beige, it kind of screams retro, it screams Cummins. And so definitely comment as to whether I should take Area Diesel's cue and paint the rest of the block the same Cummins beige. Now, if you want to see a full rebuild on this pump, head over to Area Diesel's YouTube channel. We'll put the link there. They do a full in-depth explanation of what they do to your pumps so you can understand where your money's going. This is basically its own little engine inside. It even makes noise when you hear this thing running without an engine on a test bench. It actually sounds like a little engine. That's exactly what it is. It has just as many, if not more, intricate tolerances and pieces inside than the actual engine does. So you want to send them to the professionals like Area Diesel, and this thing will go for another million miles, no issues, with some good clean fuel and some good filters. So we got our block here. We are ready to start tearing into this now that we have our parts. This block is in good shape, that there's no ring lange on it. We're gonna pull the pistons and do some honing on it. We're gonna save this for when I'm in a cast again and I can't walk. Luckily, this customer is not in any hurry whatsoever. So he said, take as long as you want. I just want you to do it. So we wanna encourage you guys to go out there in the shop, build your projects, be proud of them, drive them down the road and feel confident that you're gonna make it to where you're gonna go. You can do that with good quality parts and good partnerships. So definitely head over to DeBossGarage.com where you can upload your own projects so you can get advice and help there. And if you're a member, you get the same discounts that we do to all of our partners that are on that list as well. Maybe while you're there, buy a t-shirt or a hat and support the channel that way. That is an excellent way. We really appreciate you guys, and for you guys that do that, helps us keep all of this content going and pay for all the editors and that. So in the meantime, we're gonna keep working on all of our other projects. We got a pile of stuff done on the Silverado. We got a pile of stuff done on the Ram. The Ram will be turning its wheels in about a week. We have all of those pieces for that, and it's moving right along. And then, yeah, we'll see you guys. We'll be back on this one as soon as I am in a lot of pain. So remember, if you're not filthy, you're not rich, get out there and work on it, because nobody else is gonna do it for you. And we'll see you on the next one.